Hello and welcome to AFcast. I am your host Malcolm, and today I'm going to be talking about Just Cause 4. So let's get right into it with a little bit about the game. So it was made by the producer Square Enix. It's an open world, third person shooter, action adventure video game. And so that's basically like my favorite genre, I would say. And yeah, so now I'm going to jump a little bit into the gameplay because that's pretty much all I have actually about the game. So the graphics of the game are about between, uh, you know, Just Cause 2 and Just Cause 3. And that's probably because of the dense jungle and massive mountains that they have throughout the entire map. And it's a beautiful landscape. And it makes sense why they don't have as good as graphics as they did in Just Cause 3, but at least it's still a little bit better than Just Cause 2. Yeah, but the landscape is definitely makes up for it, and it's really understandable why the graphics were toned down a bit. Um, and the map is like really big, which is another reason why it could be toned down. There's just a lot that went into it, and I'm really happy about this game. So now I'm gonna get a little bit into like kind of like the storyline of it, of like the gameplay storyline. So the storyline actually is really good. It's pretty good for a Just Cause game, and you actually do get to finish off the Black Hand, which is pretty cool, as they have been our enemy for a while in Just Cause. Yeah, and so it does start slow and kind of picks up, just like a couple other, just kind of like Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3, it picked up pretty fast. So, like, I guess my perception of it was a little bit off, and I was kind of disappointed at first. But then I realized that they were just kind of getting into the game. And so I always feel bad whenever I judge a game that quickly. But yeah, so take it slow. Get into it first. Don't just quit as soon as you start playing, because it does start pretty slow, but it definitely picks up as you keep playing and you start understanding the game. The main plot line of the story is that you're fighting against essentially these bases that are creating weapons that use the weather. So your whole idea is to take down these things before they can be used as mass destruction. Yeah, so the whole idea is to take these down so that they can't hurt anyone. And you do actually end up getting weapons of your own that represent those weather weapons. Like right now, I have the lightning gun so far in the game, or at least that was my first one. And they're really powerful, but they do run out quickly. So another part of the game is that you do build a rebellion slowly by creating chaos, and you actually get the name Army of Chaos, which is pretty cool. And essentially, you can there's different right at the beginning of the game, you go towards two objectives. One of the objectives is towards this person who creates these stunts that you can record yourself doing to kind of like progress the Army of Chaos on the screen type deal. And you can do it across the whole entire map. There's stunts everywhere throughout the map. And then another one is, you get to uncover the truth about the history inside of our brand new map. And that's really cool because apparently the actual history has been buried. And if you were to bring up this history, then it will discredit your enemy. And that's also pretty interesting. One thing that is really annoying, though, is every time that you complete like one of the wingsuit challenges, I think it might just be all of them. I don't really remember that well, but like the person, she will yell like, "That's it, that's the shot," and it just says it every single time. It's really annoying and frustrating. So that's my only complaint so far, which is pretty good considering that that's the only complaint so far. Yeah, another thing is, so essentially how it works out is you start in one region, and as you build up the Army of Chaos, you can move troops to another region to start taking that over. And then you can complete like a mission that's inside of that region, and complete it. Otherwise, you cannot complete the mission unless for a special occasion, if it's not inside one of your zones. And so you slowly have to take down each region and make it your own. And so that's mainly what the Army of Chaos is for. You have to build up your forces to push against the Black Hand. And it's actually really cool because at the border of the regions, it's usually like a river or something, and you always see them fighting over the river, like shooting like flak cannons at flying stuff, or they will sometimes be shooting like mortars at each other. It's really interesting to watch, and even just to go over to the other side and, you know, kick some butt. Another thing that I'm not sure if I'm disappointed about or happy about is that Tom Sheldon is in the game again. So far he hasn't betrayed us, but there's always that one point in the game where he is going to have to betray us to be his normal Tom Sheldon self, unless he truly has changed, as he supposedly has before many times. And so it's pretty interesting though, because he hasn't really asked anything of my character yet as I've played, and he's helped us a lot actually. So it's kind of interesting because I'm just like waiting for that betrayal, but at the same time, he's actually helping us out a lot. Another thing that's kind of that I like about the storyline of this, that I think it's better than the other Just Cause games, is that this is actually a pretty strategic takedown of this group. Like, it's not just a bunch of blowing stuff up, like blowing up bases in order to take it over. It's actually a lot of strategy behind it, and I think that's really interesting. Like Just Cause 3, like you could argue is that as well, but at the same time, it was, even the missions were still kind of just blowing stuff up. I mean, you were literally just like, one of the missions was you just like driving a boat across the water, just blowing a bunch of stuff up to get to a location. And that was more for the blowing up stuff than it was to actually get to the location, because it would have been so much easier just to get to the location, regularly. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like they made it a little bit more interesting and better this time, though the other campaigns were good as well. And another thing is the grappling hook now has different abilities, and it kind of replaces the mines. So like if you had the booster mines in Just Cause 3, now all I had to do is hold down the tether button like you would in Just Cause 3, and then you would shoot it twice in the same spot, and then you can activate the booster, and it will cause this stuff to literally be a booster. I don't think it blows up though. I haven't really used it that much, but because there's also stuff like Airlifter, where essentially you do that same trick and it creates like a balloon that will carry stuff away. And another one is Retractor, which is essentially just what the normal tether did in Just Cause 3. And you can have them either automatically go, so like as soon as you place down the second tether, they instantly do what they're supposed to do, or you can have it so that you tap the up arrow, like up on the D-pad, or whatever you set it to. I guess you could set it to other things, or you could hold down the up on the D-pad. And then you can also set it to low, medium, or high. So that's basically like if you had the retractor, sometimes it like low, it wouldn't retract, it wouldn't like pull that much weight. Medium, it might pull a lot of weight, but not a lot. And then high would just like absolutely destroy anything that you try to retract, and it's pretty fun. So they also replaced grenades in the game with kind of like underbarrel attachments or abilities. I forgot what they call it. It's not abilities or underbarrel attachments. It's something else. I can't exactly remember, but a few of them are lock-ons. So like one of them is a smart rifle, and you can like lock onto stuff, and it'll automatically shoot everything that you lock onto. And that doesn't just include like enemies. That includes like chaos objects as well. And for those of you who haven't played Just Cause before, chaos objects are basically just the things that you destroy in order to actually get chaos in the game, which is also how you build up your army of chaos, which is pretty cool. And you actually do have a meter, and then you have a what level your chaos, your army of chaos is, and yeah. And then another one is proximity mines. So this one is an attachment on the sniper rifle, I believe, or one of the, I don't know if there's multiple, but it's exactly what it says it is. As soon as an enemy is in proximity of it, or even a vehicle, it will blow up. And it's actually pretty fun to just to kind of use as a grenade, like a precision grenade launcher, in my opinion. Because like if there's a vehicle chasing you, I like to get on top of the vehicle, and then just to shoot one of those things at the vehicle, and it just attaches itself to the vehicle and then blows up, so it doesn't have to like bounce or anything. Because the next one is a grenade launcher, which actually, in my opinion, doesn't work as well as a proximity mine, but you also are able to shoot them really fast, so that can be helpful. And also, it takes out way more enemies. It has way bigger of a blast radius, that type of deal. Another thing that is new to the game is an AR scan. Basically, what you do, it just scans the area for like objectives nearby or weapon caches nearby, that type of deal, in order for you to stock up or go to something, that like a stunt maybe that's nearby. Maybe you want to do a stunt and you can do AR scan and find out whichever one's closest to you and then go and do that. Another thing is that guns in this game are really smooth. The whole mechanics of it are really well done. It's basically exactly the same as Just Cause 3 and Just Cause 2. I don't know about the first Just Cause, though. And as usual, the vehicles are really weird in the game. So don't expect everything to, work the way you want it to, because it is going to screw itself up. And you are going to have to practice with them a lot. Another thing is that you can still call in vehicles and weapons, but they've made it really advanced now. Like, it's really well done now. And you can, like, choose how you place it. Like, when you call in the thing, it kind of shows it next to you, and you can kind of, like, move where it is going to land, and you can kind of, like, tilt it so that way it lands in a certain direction. So, like, if you want a car to face a certain direction, or even a plane, because that was always frustrating, was trying to call in a plane in Just Cause 3, and then it landing in, like, the most inconvenient facing direction ever. So yeah, it's really helpful that you can choose which direction it faces. Obviously, for a weapon cache, it doesn't really matter that much, but yeah, it's really helpful. And you actually do have different pilots, so you have like different loadouts essentially that you can do a quick call on. And you can choose these loadouts and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. So essentially, a summary of this. I know this was pretty short, but honestly, there's not really much to say about Just Cause, because a lot of it is just kind of going around blowing a bunch of stuff up. And I don't want to bore you guys with all the facts of the stuff that's in the game. I don't want to go through a list of like all the weapons and like objectives that you can do, that type of thing. Especially since a lot of it will give away the game, and then it won't be as fun for you guys if you do choose to get this. So essentially, a summary of this is that it is a really well done. It steps up it's the previous games. The story is the best in my opinion out of all of them, and it actually involves strategy rather than just kind of run and gun, which is what the other Just Causes were. I know this still is run and gun, but it's also sort of not at the same time. I don't really know how to explain it. You guys will have to play it for yourselves in order to understand what I'm saying, but I think you will agree with me if you have played it. And the stunts are really fun to do, and they're not really difficult like the gear challenges that were in Just Cause 3, because some of those were like really hard to do, and you had to practice them for like an hour before you could get 5 gears on them, and they were really frustrating. Because like I 100%ed Just Cause 3, and it was like, it didn't take as long as other games because obviously it doesn't have as much content as most other games. That's also one reason why this is really short. But those did take so much of my time to do because of how much stuff you actually have to unlock in order to progress to that point anyway, in order for it to work. But these are really easy, and they're just kind of fun to do, not like boring after doing it over and over again, trying to get that completion. Yeah, and it can get repetitive as usual. It's Just Cause. It's just what happens. But you can also relieve a lot of stress, honestly, just by playing any Just Cause game, because you just get to go around and blow stuff up. And so graphics could be improved, but it's also understandable. As I mentioned earlier, this landscape is huge, and it's really heavy, dense jungle. And really high mountains, everything like that. So, and also the new equipment in the game. So I would encourage you guys to at least look up this new equipment and see how it's played, because it's really fun to use like the airlifter and set it on like strong, so you could just make cars fly away as they're trying to chase you, and then they'll end up dropping back down on other cars. Well, I guess you'll be gone by then, but still. It's really fun to do, and all the attachments are really amazing. So I give this a 9 out of 10. The reason I'm skipping out on the 1 out of 10 is because I mean it's just cause, so it makes sense, but it does lack a little bit of content. Graphics are a little bit, kind of iffy, and there are still some glitches in the game. But overall, it's a really amazing game, and I would really recommend it to anyone who just likes blowing anything up or aiming guns at enemies, tearing people apart, anything along those lines is really fun. And also, I do want to say I'm sorry for not doing Term of the Week last week. I just completely forgot, honestly. But I am going to do one now. And so the Term of the Week is DLC. And so, for those of you who don't know what DLC is, it stands for downloadable content. So, this is anything to your game expansions. Even some updates can be considered DLC. Just anything that you download that's extra to your game that you don't necessarily need. Yeah. So, game on.